Hey guys, so I'm here in Moscow and this is a typical Moscow suburb, and I wanted to talk a little bit about how life is here and how it is compared to the United States where I used to live. So behind me you see huge houses with apartments. Each apartment here is probably about 150,000 to maybe 200,000 depending on how big it is, how many meters. Probably average apartment is probably maybe 50 meters squared. So the easy way to compare it to square feet is you times it by 10. So a 50 square meter apartment is probably about 500 square feet. So they're pretty small. So what are the differences between how people live here compared to the United States? So everything is close within walking distance, and even though there is a lot of cars here and people have cars, you don't have to have a car. So you're within walking distance to shops, to schools, to parks, and to the subway. And when you go to the subway, you can take the subway to anywhere in Moscow. It is within about 10-minute walk. And I can say that I hugely prefer to live here versus how I lived in the US. I used to live in California in a single family house where you had to have a car, you had to drive everywhere. Also, paying for utilities here is much cheaper, and I'm going to make a separate video about the prices, and I think you're going to be hugely surprised. But it's great to have everything within walking distance. It's great to it's, I guess, somewhat similar to New York, only way cleaner and way cheaper and calmer because this is the outskirts of the city. But it's much better to live in an apartment versus a single family house, which is something that I realized by living here. It's much cheaper. There is no maintenance. You don't have to mow the lawn. You don't have to fix things. So it's a superior way of living compared to how people live in the United States. And I don't miss living in single family house at all, even though the house, I mean, you can actually live in a house in Russia, but when I'm talking about Russia, a lot of things are very applicable to other places in the world, other places in Eastern Europe. They're all very similar, and people live kind of similar to how people live behind me. But anyway, don't forget to subscribe. I'll talk more about life here. I'll show you guys a little bit more, so stay tuned. I'll show you guys how things look around here, but it's very interesting. I think to people who have never seen this Eastern European type of living, it's very interesting, the difference between here and the United States. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.